Hello, welcome to the Horror of It All movie podcast. I'm Eric. Today I'm going to be talking about what I've been watching. Also, wanted to make a quick reference to it. This is episode 100 for me, so that's a pretty cool milestone. I've kept it going that long. Quick little, if this is your first video, quick little recap of my channel. Started initially as a podcast with a buddy of mine, Adam. And each episode was about like a particular movie. And then I kind of moved away from that and started doing like rankings and unboxings, and now what I've been watching. Check out whatever you would like. That would be awesome. Like and subscribe. That would be awesome too. But yeah, this is episode 100 overall. But for what I've been watching, it's episode 3. Thankfully, I'm able to do this one a little bit more closer to the last one, because the one before that was like 4 or 5 months before it, and I really want to try to do this at least once a month. But yeah, hope you like what you see. And yeah, without further ado, let's dive right in. I got a mix of stuff. I'm a mix of stuff kind of guy. I'm especially into horror, being the name. But I like all types of movies. Like, for instance, right now, not necessarily with a lot of the stuff, but it's in here. The first one I was going to mention was part of, not why, but recently I've been watching a lot of older movies. Like, sometimes I get into that mode, like watch Alfred Hitchcock, but then type of movies. But then to kind of branch out, like old Universal monster movies, or suspense thrillers from the 60s, or comedies from the 60s, 70s, 50s, whatever. I like movies from all time. But the first one I wanted to mention, I do not have physically, but I got from Netflix on DVD. Yes, that's still a thing. They still send out discs. The places are a little bit more condensed, like more, I don't want to say scarce, but I used to have one super local, and now it's definitely further away, so it takes another day or so. It's fine. I got so many other movies to watch. But anyway, that was Wait Until Dark. I have heard a lot about that. I think the first time I heard about it was, if anybody's has caught it online, or it's on YouTube, but 100 Scariest Movie Moments. Not the one that's on Shudder, which that one's good too. I don't know if they kind of got influenced by that, or if it's the same people, like an updated thing. I honestly don't know. But that was on there. In case you're curious, this is the cover. You can get, I'm sorry, maybe that's not great looking at it on my phone, but yeah. Wait Until Dark, starring Audrey Hepburn, Alan Arkin. Alan Arkin's character, he is a psycho, and he has kind of like a few different characters, but reason being is because the woman is blind, and they're trying to find this doll, and you don't know why throughout the movie why they're trying to find this doll. The girl that initially had it, that took it there, ends up being killed, and she's in the Audrey Hepburn's character's closet, which she didn't know. Obviously, she's blind, but she didn't end up going into her closet or noticing. Well, she did, but not notice. And it's in one of those like bag things, almost like a shoe thing. I'm not sure exactly what it is, being 67. But that was interesting. That was something different. Quick little synapse of that. I hate when I say that. Not synapse. Synopsis of that. After a flight back home, Sam Hendricks returns with a doll he innocently acquired along the way. As it turns out, the doll is actually stuffed. I'm not going to tell you what. You might be able to find that out. I like the mystery of why they wanted the doll. And a group of criminals led by a ruthless Rote, I think that's how you said his name, followed Hendricks back to his place to retrieve it. When Hendricks leaves for business, the crooks make their move and find his blind wife, Susie, alone in the apartment. Soon a life-threatening game begins between Susie and the thugs. Very, very good suspense thriller. I wasn't able to find it on anything. That's why I Got it from Netflix as a disc, but as I said, Warner Archive, I believe, put it on Blu-ray, so you can still find that. I wish it was somebody like, I don't know, like a Criterion or something that would put it out, or hell, even Shout Factory or Screen Factory. That would be cool, or even Arrow, but Warner Brothers has it, so that probably won't happen. But anyway, back to the regular releases that I have physically that I can show you. First one up is a very recent release from Vinegar Syndrome that I just watched over this weekend, Primal Rage. I thought I had seen this movie. Didn't ring a bell. I had a VHS for years and years. This is a 4K. Looks amazing, of course. Basically, what it's about is this, I don't know what you want to call him, scientist, doctor, something along those lines. Bo Sevenson, I think is how you say his name, plays him. Has this test he's doing on this baboon, and one of the characters ends up going to his lab when he's in the cage, starts taking pictures of him, and he freaks out and he gets out of the cage. But whatever it is in him, he scratches the guy, and that just sets off like almost like this contagious thing. Some people I've heard were confused how are you around this person and blah blah blah. You could be around the people. You just, if you were scratched or things like that, and then you basically mutate, and it's almost like a demons-ish type thing. But very, very good movie. I won't go too much more into it. I love the slipcover, as I showed on the unboxing that was most recent for this. But yeah, definitely recommend this one. I had a lot of fun with it. And it's not overly obvious, but it's apparently Italian, because it has an Italian director, I guess, and stuff. So that's interesting. But yeah, and there is a full-length 86-minute documentary edited by Michael Keane, which he kills it with his work that he does with them. Amazing documentary. You find out so much interesting stuff about the filming and the casting. It's just goes right in order and right down the line. Such an amazing documentary. And other than that, there was an interview from 2020 with the producer, which was also very good. So it sounds light on the special features, but nah. With that documentary, you get plenty. So yeah, Primal Rage. Highly recommend it. Also, I will put in the description, like I usually do, as long as I remember. If I don't, when I do, I'll put it in a link to my letterbox, because I have all these on here, what I start them and everything. This one I watched a little bit ago. I haven't finished the disc. There's one more, I guess you could call it a short film. It's almost like a full length because it's an hour, but some shot on video. And the next few are shot on video, but Burglar from Hell. I don't think I've talked about this. I apologize if I have. But yeah, this movie's nuts, and if you like shot on video, this is one of the better ones for sure. Tons of special features. It also has, like I said, a couple of short films. I've watched everything on here. All the interviews are very good. The Wrong Side of Town I have not watched. I'll update on a later video. There's this weird but yet kind of good short film, about 19 minutes, I think it said, called Mercenary. And it's basically about this guy that hires this guy to take care of these people in an apartment building that are basically bullying him. But anyway, Burglar from Hell, on the other hand, is the main feature here. Let's see. Burglar from Hell captures the insignificance of middle-class American culture in 1993. It's basically about this guy that robs this, or attempts to rob this old lady, and ends up getting killed and buried. And then later on, this group of people come back to the same house, because Yeah, I think they did like a séance, and the guy came back, and yeah, that's some of the original artwork. I had a lot of fun with this. I don't know how I never came across this younger, because I've pretty much always been a shot on video guy, um, but never came across this one. I'd say much more now. I'm finding more and more because of labels like Saturn's Core or Visual Vengeance or some culture shock stuff, and so far quite a few Terror Visions, which I do have in here. But yeah, anyway, if you like shot on video and you like bonker shit, this is pretty good. Anyway, with the seance, this guy comes back. He kills him in a various ways, some silly, some interesting. But yeah, Burglar from Hell. All right, the next two I'm going to talk about together because I rewatched these. I didn't watch these DVDs, but I rewatched them with Joe Bob when he did his VHS night, as he called it. First up, I'm talking about Things. The best way to watch this is with Joe Bob because I don't know. This is definitely one of those movies that I can see a lot of people saying is one of the worst movies ever made, and they're not necessarily wrong, but it may be that bad. But I found it very entertaining. There's some scenes in it where you're like, what the fuck are they doing? But I'm also not the type of guy that overthinks shit. I just turn my brain off for these and just watch them. So if you're into that, if that sounds like something you want, in 1979 it became the first Canadian shot on Super 8. So it wasn't, well, got Gore Shocker, commercially released on VHS. Today, it remains perhaps the most bizarre, depraved, and mind-boggling chunk of Canucksploitation ever unleashed upon humanity. So yeah, this is a weird one. I gotta watch some of these special features because, like I said, I didn't watch this disc, but Intervision put this out, which is a sub-label for Severin. If you weren't familiar, super weird. It turns into like this zero budget monster movie kind of, but which are the things. Warning: horror and brutal violence in full color. If that sounds like something you'd be up for, I know I'm sure some people watching like, oh my god, that's so bad, I fucking hate it, or oh my god, that's so bad, that's such a blast, I want to rewatch it. If you're a fan of Joe Bob Briggs, it's on Shudder still. You can watch it with Joe Bob. Same with this. Sledgehammer. Now, I have heard some people talking about it like the Sledgehammer kills weren't that great and there isn't a lot of them. Sure. But when they are, there is one that I thought was pretty fucking good for what it is. Somebody gets hit in the head. So, back to this actually. So, I guess this technically wasn't shot on video. It's shot on Super 8. I like to clarify that because I know sometimes things get confused. But anyway, Intervision is proud to present the return of the first shot-on-video slasher movie for home video market, as well as the rarest genre film of all time. One of the rarest of genre films of all time. The plot is familiar. A group of friends comes to a party, excuse me, at a backwoods house where a legacy of brutality awaits. It kind of has that like backstory of a slasher where a kid sees no, back up. Not that he sees his mother and it's sex and everything, but she is a ruthless fucking abusive fucking mother, and she locks him in a closet. Not everything is necessarily makes sense. I will admit I like Things more than Sledgehammer myself. I didn't think I didn't think Sledgehammer was great. Like I said, I think Things was much better. There are definitely scenes in it of the effects that were pretty good. The kills are pretty good. But basically, people come back to the house is similar to Things. I mean, not Things. What am I thinking of? Burglar from Hell. Duh. Just talking about it. And it's kind of like a supernatural story, but it doesn't necessarily make sense. And I will definitely watch it again. I'll say that. But if I have to choose between the two, this is okay, and Things is I think is a lot of fun. It's absolutely terrible, but in the most fun way. But Sledgehammer, on the other hand, it's fine. I would watch it again. All right, next up, into that classic movies that I was talking about. This was just released recently. Sorry, Wrong Number. We got Barbara Stanwyck and Burt Lancaster in a very suspense-filled movie from 1948. There's a bunch of good special features, such as there's a radio play with Barbara Stanwyck and Burt Lancaster. There is a filmed radio play with other people, like more modern. There's an introduction by film historian Eddie Muller. Not familiar with him, but that was pretty nice. Hold the Phone, the making of Sorry, Wrong Number. It's basically one of those movies that it's set kind of like the point of view initially of this woman who seems to be bedridden. You find out later that it's kind of in her head, if I got the right impression. And then you kind of find out as the movie goes on her backstory. But before that, she overhears some cross lines back when it's all lines with phones, not just cell phone where it's just in the air, of somebody that is planning on committing murder at a certain time. And she tries to report it. People think she's insane. And then it goes on from there. This is a very, very good movie. I'm going to read some of the synopsis. Young, rich, bedridden Leona Stevenson dials a telephone number one night and overhears two men plotting the murder, as I told you that. With time running out, Leona pieces evidence together that leads her to suspect that it is her husband who wants her murdered. And then you find out more and more, like, he's trying to get away from her. It's a weird role reversal in a way from 1948, I thought, where she's, like, the rich one and she kind of, like, controls him, because he works for her father and things like that. I've already said too much, but if you're into stuff like that, or if you're into old suspenseful movies, very, very good. Highly, highly recommend that one. Skip all the way to modern, and then we'll go back to some film noir of a movie that is... You know what? I'm actually gonna skip. Sorry about that. Hold on. Keep with a similar theme, because I watched these as a double feature, and I'm talking about Touch of Evil. Another movie that I thought I hadn't seen. I know this is out on 4K now, if anybody's curious. Amazing cast. Charlton Heston, Janet Leigh, Orson Welles. For the time, I'd say there were some things in it that I was very surprised, violence-wise and things like that, and then there's suggested rape. The cinematography is absolutely amazing because of the camera that they use that you find out in, like, the documentary portions of this, where you're just with them, like it's moving with you. It's hard to explain. It's better just seen. But I guess pretty much it's initially set in Mexico. And Charlton Heston is from there, and Orson Welles, you find out, is more of a corrupt, scheming cop, and he basically tries to prove that, and in the process gets framed, and don't want to go into too much more of it, but if you like film noir, this is, like, up there, if you don't already know that. If you're into film noir, you probably have seen this. I will admit, I don't love every film noir that I see, but I loved this movie. Absolutely loved this movie. I guess you could call Sorry, Wrong... No, I don't know if it's film noir necessarily. This is more like suspense, but, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. If you've seen it and you think that is, cool. But highly recommend this. Great cast. There are three, if you know nothing about this, there are three versions of the movie. A preview version, which they go into in the story and the behind the scenes and the documentary and stuff with Orson Welles. They basically like reshot stuff, took stuff out, basically fucked his movie. Thankfully, years later, unfortunately, I don't know if no, he didn't. Yeah, he died in like 85, I think. So we never got to see it reconstructed, but there's a reconstructed version, and that's the one to watch. It was definitely one of those where I wasn't sure, so I kind of looked it up. But the reconstructed version is the version to watch because that is the best possible way to watch it the way that it was meant to be seen. So, Touch of Evil, if you haven't watched it, definitely check it out, especially if you're a fan of like old black and white suspense movies. All right, fast forward to modern day, we got one that has been talked a lot about, and I hadn't really talked about it because I just got it. Was Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. This is kind of a weird one. The cast is pretty great, but the game Bodies, Bodies, Bodies they play is pretty fucking weird. They sit in a circle and they fucking hit each other. And then I think that's the beginning of the game, unless that's another game. I can't remember. But definitely turns into like a whodunit type of movie. And they just start getting killed one by one. I'm trying to figure out a way to describe this. Oh yeah, it's a very Gen Z type of movie, which that could put some people off. But I liked it. I thought it was pretty good. I didn't love it, but I am glad I bought it. Like I said, the cast is pretty good. Because, I mean, we got... I'm not familiar with each one of these names other than Pete Davidson, but that's not a great picture of her, but she's pretty good. If you've seen, what is that movie called? Shiva Baby, she stars in it. I'm pretty sure, let's see, I'm pretty sure his name is Maria Bakalova. I'm terrible with names, I apologize, but yeah, if none of that, like the Gen Z thing didn't turn you off, it doesn't me, but you can definitely tell, like, if you're around my age, like older, I'm hitting 40. This is not our generation. Not at all. So, there is that. But it is an interesting movie. I thought it was kind of unique. A must-see horror comedy, said by Entertainment Weekly. Sure. This is not a safe space. I like that tagline. But yeah, basically what they do is they, other than the game, a group of friends come to this, like, house that's kind of in the middle of nowhere, and they have a hurricane party. I've never heard of anything like that, but I guess I get it. And then it kind of escalates from there. So if that sounds like anything you're interested in, I don't want to say anything else about it. But yeah, Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. All right. Another fun one that I watched from Vinegar Syndrome is Frostbiter. Now, don't think I've talked about this. But I watch so much that sometimes I forget. I thought the effects were pretty great. The special features, there's a ton. From Snowy Wilds of Michigan, Tom Chaney's Frostbiter, a.k.a. Wendigo, is a highly ambitious indie horror gem which inexplicably remained nearly unreleased, saved from some local screenings for the better part of a decade following its late 80s production, featuring clever use of miniatures, highly stylized camera work, and editing. Frequent gore, and loads of wintry atmosphere. It's kind of basically about this group of people, a couple of different groups of people that are in the woods, but there is one particular group that broke like the seal of somebody's, like, kind of like their house, but they're circled by these like skulls on spikes, and they broke that seal. I'm probably saying it wrong, and which in return brought on the Wendigo, which is actually just a really, really tall claymation-ish, I believe. Highly, highly influenced by Evil Dead, but I thought this was a lot of fun. It also has what was his name? Um, Ron Ashton, I think. Yeah, he was in the Stooges, Iggy and the Stooges, if you're familiar with that with music. But it's ultra low budget. If you're into that, I know I am. It's not going to be for everybody, but it's fun. I thought it was pretty fun. All right, we got another, in my opinion, classic here from Oli Lamel, which we find out from Vinegar Syndrome. They're putting out the infamous Boogeyman, which I am 1,000,000% behind. It's going to be on 4K. I love that movie. They also put out another one of his movies, Olivia, which I love too. But I'm talking about the Devonsville Terror. I had this on DVD forever and a day. Never watched it. I just kept holding off for somebody to put it out on a nice Blu-ray. Here we are. It starts with back in like the witch trial days, which the more I see on stuff like that, the more I'm like, back then must have been obviously a fucking nightmare, because those people were so stupid, and the rules they came up with, like, well, if this happens then they're a witch, or this happens and they don't, and usually the ones, if they're not a witch, they die anyway. So stupid. But fast forward to modern day. In this is what, 80? Well, this came out in 83. But yeah, same as Elise Lamel's other movies. Susan Love is in this. She's also in Boogeyman. She's also in Olivia. She is Olivia, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it's been a while. But she comes there as well as a couple other people, and then we realized nothing's changed. They haven't learned from anything. The people in the fucking town are just all against them because they have different ways of thinking, especially Susan Love's character, who's a teacher, and they don't like them, how she represented to a kid about God or something. So they think that there's the three women are reincarnated as the witches from before. Not going to say anything more. I've already said too much. Devonsville Terror is absolutely amazing. Another one I highly recommend from Vinegar Syndrome. This is one of the original artworks. Love it. Sorry about the glare. There's quite a few special features. We got an interview with Susan Love. We got an interview with the special effects artist. We got an interview with actor Paul Wilson. We got an interview with the makeup artist. We got an interview with the camera operator. And we got an archive interview, which is actually really good. It's short, but with Oli Lamel. Devonsville Terror. All right. I see the time here. I'm going to try to get through these pretty good. Thanks for sticking around. If you're interested in, like, just releases, it's not even just about what I've been watching, really. Just watched this last night. It's not going to be for everybody. It is also an older movie, because I've been on that older movie kick. This one in particular is from 1968, and it's The Swimmer. Grindhouse Releasing put it out. I held off for so long because I'm like, The Swimmer? That doesn't sound interesting. I kind of did some research, and the way they describe it at the end of the synopsis is, to me, dead on what this is. A full-length Twilight Zone episode by way of The New Yorker. Now, when they say The New Yorkers, because there was a short story, I guess, back then, about the swimmer. And it's basically, it's a really weird movie. It doesn't, I guess, it makes sense, but as the movie's going on, you're kind of like, what? But this guy lives in the hills of all these rich people, and everybody has a pool. He doesn't have a pool, but he wants to swim home. So he's at a friend's house, and he just gradually goes to all these people's houses. Some welcomed, a lot really not welcomed, because you start not finding out, but little hints of like, is this guy not a great guy? Like, what happened? And he does little things in talking about his family. At one point, he talks about them like they're little kids, and then he said he was joking because there was this girl that used to be a babysitter of them, and then she's like, why do you want me to be a babysitter? And he's like, he was just kidding. And then you find other characters that are friends with him, and then other characters are basically treat him like he's a piece of shit. It's something else. It's definitely an experience, and I am so glad I got this. I didn't plan on watching the 2.5 hour documentary, which thankfully, for some, if that's how you want to do it, I planned on doing it that way, but it was so engrossing and so interesting that I watched each one. It's broken up almost like Netflix would do with some stuff into 5 different chapters. And initially, when I hit play, I was like, "Oh, this is only a half hour." No, it isn't. I read the back as I'm getting further into it, like 2.5 hours. Okay, but yeah, like I said, it's a weird one. Grindhouse Releasing is proud to present the ultimate late '60s studio-produced cult film. The Swimmer. Oh, again, I didn't mention, and you probably saw another Burt Lancaster, who was also in. Sorry, wrong number, but like 20 years before. Anyway. Is in his finest performance. That's obviously subjective. Burt Lancaster stars as Ned Miro, a man who confronts his destiny by swimming home, pool by pool, through the urban nightmare of upper class East Coast society, based on a claimed short story. But yeah, very weird one. If you like older movies, this isn't going to be like your typical movie. It's definitely different. It's definitely unique. Just like it's not like anything else Grindhouse Releasing has ever released. So kudos to them for releasing it. I did buy this direct because they had like a little sale basically, and they had more pieces stuff. And if you're new here and have heard me talk about pieces, I have pieces etched into my arm. I don't even know if you can see that. It's right there. But I love that movie. But anyway, that's not about that. But yeah, this is definitely out of the norm for them, I think. But I mean, it is a cult movie, I guess. So you have that. But it's a very nice release. Comes with a book. I don't think I did an unboxing of this or anything. And if I did, sorry, I don't know. I have a very bad short-term memory sometimes. And of course, like always, it comes with the soundtrack or the score in a little cardboard case. But I would recommend this, but it really would depend on the person. So I can't widely say I would highly recommend this or even recommend it. But if anything I said intrigues you, check it out. I definitely would. And you can still get this if you wanted it physically. I don't know if it's on anything. I didn't check. I'm not really a streaming guy. I go to it when I guess forced to. But yeah, I still watch other things like YouTube and some streaming services like shows and things. But anyway, I always get on tangents, and I said we were going to go quicker. But yeah, The Swimmer. I really liked it. It was a very, very intriguing movie. Anyway, complete opposite of that, Nightmares. Number 2 from Umbrella for a partner label. Not number 2 for them overall. They've been around forever. They're an Australian company. I've loved them for years and years and years and years and years. And I'm so thankful that they're a new partner label. I have not watched Undead yet, but I have seen it. I have an old DVD, and I remember loving that movie. But Nightmares, I have had the Severin DVD from 12 years ago, I think. And again, sometimes with DVDs, I, for whatever reason, didn't watch it. This is a very weird movie, but in a very good way. Like, I like weird shit. It's kind of basically about this girl who was traumatized when she was younger. It has to do with sex and things like that. The director did say in the special features, which is an extended interview with John D. Lamond, total exploitation guy. Definitely check out Not Quite Hollywood. I love seeing these exploitation movies and saying extended interview with Not Quite Hollywood. How many fucking hours of footage do they have? I'm here for it. It's just interesting. But on a side note, highly recommend that documentary if you haven't seen it. But yes, the movie's very sleazy. Anyway, sorry. This little girl gets traumatized because she kind of accidentally kills her mother. Because of a car accident, and it has to do with glass. But the cool thing about this movie, I think, is, as you can tell by the back here, all the kills, I hope this isn't giving too much away, spoiler if it is, all the kills are very unique because they're all done with glass as the weapon. But that's all I'll say. Very, very different, very, very weird. Non-stop bloodshed to the successful cinematic recipe of softcore sex, ample naked flesh, exploitation, amateur. John D. Lamond takes on a stock and slash genre. They say it's like an he even said it like it's like he tried to do a Halloween type thing, or I don't think he said ripped it off, but it does say a vengeful, infamous, homegrown Halloween clone. I don't think so. Maybe I missed something, but I don't. I didn't get Halloween at all. But if you like shit like that, and again, if anything I said, um, you're into that, or you're just into exploitation, Nightmares, it's great. It just came out as a partner label through OCN on Vinegar Syndrome from Umbrella. All right. This is number 8 of TerrorVision. It was the first one in the subscription, and I've heard about this, but I'm talking about Attack of the Killer Refrigerator. But I'm not just talking about that, because it turns out there are 3 movies on here, and they're all short movies. Attack of the Killer Refrigerator is only like, I don't remember, like 15 minutes. Like, I didn't know that. I thought it was a full-length movie. I knew nothing about it. But it's a great release. I love TerrorVision. As I said, I'm a subscriber. Kind of sad to see Brad go, even though he's still working with Vinegar Syndrome, but he's more hands-on with TerrorVision now. A very, very cool release. You definitely find out stuff from the director. It's got Attack of the Killer Refrigerator, the very first Attack of the Killer Refrigerator, and it is as ridiculous as it sounds, but it's a lot of fun, and it's only like fucking 15 minutes. The Hook of Woodland Heights is the other movie. Out of all of them, I know that was one of the main draws for this. It's good. It's fine. But it's my least favorite of the 3, because there are 3 movies on here. Though, and the third one, that they don't really... Because there's not really much to it, I get it. But it's only a little here, like on a napkin. If you can see that. Days Before Christmas. It's just a short, basic... All these are done by the same like director, I believe. But it's basically about this woman who goes to a mall and they're shopping, and then this different things happen, and then there's this person in her car, and she goes to get her something. I can't remember what it was, food or coffee, but apparently the police have been looking for that person, and I don't really want to talk too much more about it, but out of all 3, that was probably my favorite story, because I don't know, it was creepy. It really was. But definitely fascinating stuff in here. You also find out about Defrosted, which let's see, bonus feature, Media House Films Defrosted. It has a short for Snapper, the man-eating turtle movie that never got made. Fascinating stuff. They talk about it because, and this is not local for me, but a place that I go to frequently in Worcester, Massachusetts. So that was intriguing. But overall, amazing release. If you're into ultra low budget or shot on video and all that stuff, as I already said, and something like Attack of the Killer Refrigerator doesn't turn you off and think it sounds stupid, check it out. Like I said, the Hook of Woodland Heights was fine. Days Before Christmas, I mean, technically, I guess Attack of the Killer Refrigerator is the most entertaining one. Days Before Christmas is creepy, and Hook of the Woodland Heights, I don't know, maybe I'll watch it again, but it was just fine. But yeah, their first release on their own. And then completely different is Imprint School Ties, that I almost didn't get because I didn't order it direct. But I really do love Imprint. I don't buy everything. It's super expensive. But This is definitely for me a classic indie '90s type movie starring Brendan Fraser. All the special features are archival, but I've never seen them before. There's an interview with Brendan Fraser, interview with Matt Damon, interview with Sherry Lansing as the producer, interview with Chris O'Donnell, and interview with Robert Mandel, who's the director. It definitely deals with prejudice, and it's basically about Brendan Fraser, who went to this like rich school, and he's not rich. He kind of was like a, what do they call that? Not a shoo-in, but like I can't remember, but I don't know if it says it on the back. The ringer, like a ringer, I guess you would say, for the football. I think it was football, wasn't it? I think it was. I don't remember that part. I just remember all the like characters and stuff like that, um, and he's trying to hide that he's Jewish because you can totally tell that they are against that. It's definitely ba- based in the 50s, so that is a big thing, and he's a bit Brendan Fraser's character is a bit hot-headed because a bit of a hothead because beforehand he you can tell that he probably gets in a lot of fights, but yeah, School Ties, '90s indie type drama. I love '90s indie dramas and indie movies in general, but yeah, highly recommend this one. It's getting harder to get, but I don't know how it works. I'm still new to imprint. I think they do like without the slip box, but I definitely have quite a few newer imprints that I will see on a future what I've been watching. But anyway, all right, I only have a couple left. I'll just kind of cruise through these. This is the last one of the stuff of basically stuff that I hadn't seen or I don't think I've seen. Out of all of them, I'm glad I'm not ending with this. I'm ending with a few that, again, are favorites. I know which one I'll end on. But the VSU from Vinegar Syndrome for Sidekicks. I initially remember hearing some rumblings about this months ago before it came out. And to be perfectly honest, I don't like putting down any movie or anything. But if you're not a fan, you're not a fan. I really just thought it was okay. Some of the stuff in it with that they made him do for training because he has severe asthma, and I hate the way that movies portray asthma, especially like say in like It or whatever, like with Stephen King, like that it's basically not real. It's in your head. I have severe asthma, and it is not that at all. But they really make him like train and run, and I'm like, are you trying to kill him? Anyway, all that aside, those are my pet peeves. Other than that, Joe Piscopo is a lunatic in this movie. It doesn't necessarily really star Chuck Norris. Not that I'm a giant Chuck Norris fan, but I don't mind some of his movies, like Missing in Action. I only saw that initially because Joseph Zito, who directed Friday the 13th, The Final Chapter, and The Prowler, I saw that, find something different. But as a VSU, it's fine. I'll be perfectly honest, it's probably one of my least favorite VSUs. I have heard people say, though, Richard Mull is in it. He's the gym teacher. He's really good, too. But I do like Jonathan Brandis. It's unfortunate he had such a sad end. But like I said, the movie's okay. I have heard people say, that's what I was going to say, that grew up with it. Like, if I saw this as a kid, I think I might have liked it more. It definitely is kind of like a Karate Kid type movie, except his character is obsessed with Chuck Norris, and he has these like daydreams about fighting with Chuck Norris, be it in the West or be it in like war or whatever. But overall, maybe I would have liked it more if I saw it as a kid. I thought I might have seen it. I know I say that sometimes, but when I've watched thousands and thousands of movies, it happens. Not trying to put anybody off of this. If anything I said like about the pros for me is for you, then great. And it's a VSU. It's amazing packaging. If you're not familiar with that, it comes with a nice book. It's on 4K from Vinegar Syndrome, Vinegar Syndrome Ultra. I have all of them, so of course I was going to buy it. I buy all Vinegar Syndrome stuff. But yeah, it's fine. I don't really think it's something I'll revisit very often. But yeah, I hate to end that on a downer, but I'm not ending the video quite yet. Just a few here of movies that I've watched, rewatched. Now, I won't end on that. One of the movies that I hadn't watched is part of this collection. I watched this on a streamer. I can't remember where, but if you can see that one in the middle, Going the Distance, absolutely amazing cast. Drew Barrymore, Justin Long, Charlie Day, Jason Sudeikis, Christina Applegate. Christina Applegate's husband is Jim Gaffigan in the movie. I just love the movie. I know it's kind of out of the norm for what I usually talk about because it's like a romantic comedy, but I feel it's more real. And being Going the Distance is basically about these two people, Aaron and Garrett. Drew Barrymore's Aaron and Garrett is Justin Long, and they meet in New York. But it's addressed right off that Aaron, Drew Barrymore's character, doesn't live in New York. So she's going to be leaving. She's just on an assignment or something for work or maybe not for work, but I can't remember what it was. Anyway, not important. An intern, that's it. And then she ends up having to go back to San Francisco. I kept wanting to say Florida, I believe, is where Drew Barrymore's character is from, and they try to do a long distance relationship, and you know how that sometimes pans out. Overall, I absolutely adored this movie. It's not your usual chick flick, I guess you would say, although that's not a turnoff for me either. If it's a good movie, it's a good movie. I know it's formula. How do you say that? It's a formula basically, but this one's definitely different. This one's more real to me, and his friends are great because they're Jason Sudeikis and Charlie Day. They're friends of Justin Long, and that portion of it is definitely like an '80s raunchy type, not '80s, but just like a R-rated comedy type scenario with them. But that's what it is. I mean, it is an R-rated comedy, but I really liked it. If you like anybody in it, or if you hadn't seen it, I definitely recommend it. This is a dirt cheap one to pick up too. I haven't seen Words and Music, but it was an upgrade for Wedding Singer, which I'm leaning into for movies I have watched. It's The Wedding Singer. If you're a fan of Adam Sandler, well, it's The Wedding Singer. The Wedding Singer is probably my favorite Adam Sandler movie. I love the whole 80s aesthetic with it. It's one of mine and my wife's favorite movies. We just watched it on Valentine's Day. And yeah, so if you like Adam Sandler, and you've probably seen it, along with another one with Drew Barrymore, which I did a double feature with my wife, 50 First Dates. Oh my god, I absolutely adore this movie. I don't know if this is my second favorite. I made a top 10 of Adam Sandler, but it's damn close. I absolutely adore this movie and reference it still to this day. Yeah. And if you're an Adam Sandler fan, and it was so great that they did the Mark Twain Award for him just recently on CNN. I watch clips because I don't have cable anymore, but definitely great. All right, this is running long. I apologize. Another one, speaking of Valentine's Day, that I watched right around there was the Valentine. Early, what was it? 2001. So early 2000s slasher. Definitely fell early 2000s, but a little bit 90s. After the whole slew of not Scream clones or anything, but Scream boosted horror again, and except this time, as opposed to horror before, say the 80s, it was a lot of they weren't stars, and in that time they started being that, and then Scream's still around. I watched this back in the day. I liked it then. Scream Factory's edition is really good. I don't love it, but I definitely like it. And lastly, and very importantly, I know there's been a slew of these releases, but this has got to be the best release. Maybe not packaging wise, but I do love the slipcase. I'm talking about the one and only Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I know maybe some would be leery because it's in 4K and it's supposed to look grainy and dingy. It's still there to me, but it just looks so pristine on top of that. Like, it's a weird contrast that I absolutely adore, but obviously it's one of the greatest horror movies of all time, in my opinion. The slipcase is absolutely amazing. This is the American one. I know there was another one that they did overseas. I can't remember off the top of my head who did it, but I didn't need that. I'm perfectly fine with this one. There was a steelbook with just this, and with the original artwork. I preferred the slipcase because I love the art. There's a whole second disc with all the old special features, including what was on the bonus disc of the truck version of that was put out that I actually bought for a friend of mine. And then there's, on top of all of the old special features, there is a new full-length documentary, The Legacy of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That I haven't watched yet, but I did want to include this at the end. But yeah, it's the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and if you're not too leery and you're interested to see it in 4K, take it from somebody who is Blu-ray's my format, okay? When done right, 4K can be absolutely amazing. When done wrong, 4K can be a damper for me, and I don't like it. Like when it's too dark, or they're almost like clay. Like that happens usually in like studio releases, but I digress. It's Texas Chainsaw Massacre, duh. And just like I said, just look at that artwork. I just love it. But anyway, I didn't plan on this being this long. But thank you if you're still stuck around. Check out my other videos, podcasts, rankings, all that good stuff. Don't know what's coming next. Again, this is my 100th episode and my third What I've Been Watching. So yeah, check out all that stuff if you would. Like and subscribe if you would. Comment down below if any of these things that you've watched or you're interested to watch, or if you have any questions about a release. I'm here. But yeah. Thanks to all that, and thanks for sticking around. This has been the Horror of It All Movie Podcast. I'm Eric. Until next time.